Are you ready to learn the 3 secrets to launching a successful podcast? Hi, I'm Bill, a recent client of the Podcast Mogul. If you've been thinking about starting a podcast but aren't sure where to begin, he's got you covered. He is hosting a free webinar where he will share the 3 secrets that can help you launch, grow, and monetize your podcast without any fancy equipment or technical headaches. Click the link in the show notes to save your spot now and let him help get your podcast off the ground.
Welcome to Invest in Yourself, the Digital Entrepreneur Podcast. Join the podcast mogul Phil Better as he interviews successful entrepreneurs that make their living in the digital world. Now, let's join your host, Phil Better, and his special guest today on Invest in Yourself, the Digital Entrepreneur Podcast.
Welcome back to digital entrepreneurs, to another insightful episode of Invest in Yourself, the Digital Entrepreneur Podcast. I'm, of course, your host with the most, Phil Better, and I'm here to guide you through the ever-evolving landscape of digital entrepreneurship. Today, we have a special guest whose expertise spans the realm of leadership, artificial intelligence, and strategic advisory. Our guest today is no stranger to the forefront of technology innovation. He's a seasoned CEO coach, a captivating keynote speaker on AI, and an esteemed board member. With over 2 decades of experience at the helm of various tech companies, he steered the course for giants like Apple, Google, and Microsoft, offering invaluable strategic counsel along the way. His insights have graced prestigious platforms, including the Wall Street Journal AI Conference, the National Association of Corporate Directors, and esteemed academic institutions like MIT, Stanford, Venture Labs, and Harvard Business School. Today, we delve into the intersection of AI leadership and entrepreneurial vision, gaining profound insight from none other than the brilliant mind of our esteemed guest. So, dear listeners, fasten your seatbelts and get ready to elevate your understanding of AI and leadership as we warmly welcome to the show, Glenn Gow. Glenn, welcome to the show.
Phil, thank you so much. What an awesome invitation and introduction for me. And I'm really excited about our discussion here.
I am super excited. We were getting along great before we even started. So, I know this episode is going to blow my mind, and we're going to create a connection that it's going to span generations, I feel, because of the value bombs we're going to be dropping here on what is the forefront pretty much of AI. So before we go into where we are today and what you do today, let's go back to where you began. What made you want to become an entrepreneur, Glenn?
Well, I've actually been an entrepreneur more than once. The first time I wanted to be an entrepreneur because I figured out that I had a particular set of knowledge and expertise. And in my existing job, I wasn't able to really leverage that knowledge and expertise the way I wanted to. And so I said, well, I'm just going to offer my services to the world and figure out how to make that and turn that into a business. And that became a business I ran for 25 years. And it was a fantastic opportunity. Huge risk, but a fantastic opportunity, and it turned out extremely well. And so it was all about wanting to serve others with my expertise.
I like that. So it was just, I have this vat of knowledge that I want to spew out into the world and help people with. And my job's like, no, keep that vat closed. And you're like, okay, screw it. I'm going off, and the vat of knowledge spewed forth. And here we are today.
Exactly. And the same thing happened the second time. Now I'm a CEO coach, and as you mentioned, a keynote speaker and a board member. It was about recognizing that I could add value in a particular way, in a special way, and just stepping out and doing it. I think that's one of the key things about being an entrepreneur, is recognizing that we have to just sometimes pull the plug and do it. And that's what I've done here.
I love it. So how did you fall in? Were you always interested in AI? Because I'm going to jump right into the main topic, because I love AI.
Sure. Let's do it.
So how did you fall into the role of falling in love with AI? You worked with some of the giants in the tech world, but where did AI come into your world?
So Phil, it actually happened when I was in venture capital. So I was in venture capital for 5 years. And the amazing thing about being in venture capital is that you can predict the future. And the reason I say that is that every day an entrepreneur is walking in the door and they're saying, this is what's happening in the world, and we're going to take advantage of it. and you pay attention to the patterns that you're seeing from the entrepreneurs saying, this is what's going to happen. And you eventually realize when enough of them say the same thing, they're probably right. And so I saw people talking about the massive, massive changes that were going to be enabled by AI. And I said, I need to understand this at a deeper level. And the more I understood it, the deeper I went. And the more I understood it, the more I became excited about it. And so I play a special role in the area of AI. I'm an expert in AI, but in this tiny little niche. And the niche is speaking to CEOs and board members. So I'm not going to talk about the technical details about how to build a convolutional neural network. You don't need to do that, Phil. What you need to understand are the implications of using or not using AI in your business. And that's what I focus on.
I love that. I love how you niche down to the smallest possible niche. I love that. And it's another great thing for the entrepreneurs who are listening, who are still, like finding their feet. Because if you're not niche down enough, you won't make it. You'll be for everybody, and everybody's going to be like, I don't know if this is my season of pork or this is my tasty. You niche down straight down. You're like, look, I already know how to speak to CEOs and board members because I am one. I love AI. I know the importance of AI. So now I know I can take this knowledge I have and share it with these people so that they can hire me to find out, hey, this is my business. Is it good? And you do something similar to that?
That's right.
I love that.
So
honest guys, I'm just like, you're monetizing your knowledge, like at the end, getting paid to learn even more.
Well, let me say something, Phil, about entrepreneurship as it relates to what I'm doing. Is you have to have a passion for what you're doing. Why? Because I wake up in the morning and I'm excited either to go coach a CEO. I really, really am excited about that. Or if I'm not coaching a CEO, I'm excited to go figure out that Google just announced Gemini, the latest release in their large language model, and I want to know more about it. And I want to be able to share that with people because I can make them better at what they do. This is the most amazing thing, and this is where the overlap between AI and CEO coaching comes into play. So I'm a fundamental believer, and I'm saying this for your audience to think about the mentality of being an entrepreneur. So what I say to many of my CEOs is every great athlete has a coach. In fact, many of them have many coaches. And you ask yourself, why does a great athlete, someone who's at the top of their game, have a coach? It's because a coach helps them become even better. And so there's a constant learning mentality I want all entrepreneurs to have, that they can always become even better than they are. And one of my passions is sharing what I learn, whether it's in the CEO coaching realm or it's about AI. And I'm always learning something new. And Phil, I'm going to learn something. I've already begun to learn something new from you today. And I learn something every time I talk to my CEOs. I coach 20 CEOs. I never talk about who they are, but I always share best practices that I learned from CEO 1 when I talk to CEO 5. I said, let me tell you about what CEO 1 is doing. It's amazing. It fits exactly with the problem you're trying to solve. I don't have to be the expert. I'm going to share expertise. And that's what my world's all about, is learning and then sharing that expertise.
So you just defined what I do with podcasting as well, because I talk with so many people. Yeah, I think we're closing in probably close to 600-700 episodes. I don't know.
Wow.
There's a backlog of catalog too. Like there's only like close to 500 released, and I have a backlog of catalog that's still going that I need to edit, which is always an anxiety-ridden day. But it's not about me. But like, since I get to talk to so many entrepreneurs like yourself, and I ask always pieces of advice because I never know who I'm going to talk to, where I run into. And I go, yeah, I talked to so-and-so, and this is what they did for their business. It's possibly going to help you. Now, again, you look like an expert because you're sharing wisdom, right? Regardless if it's yours or not, you're sharing wisdom. So
exactly.
And I always love to give credit to the individual because like it's their knowledge that I'm taking. I feel like I'm like Alexandria, the Library of Alexandria, but the walking version of it.
Right. I love it.
But where do you, since you're near the forefront of AI and you're always learning, and you're able to see, because you have your connections in venture capital and all that, and you probably still have your fingers touching and going there. I wouldn't be surprised. An entrepreneur always has those fingers in many pies. Where do you what do you see the next 5 years looking like for yourself, or maybe even your industry of CEO AI coaching space?
We have to embrace AI. Why? Because your job, Phil, and my job is not going to be replaced by AI. Rather, our jobs are going to be replaced by someone using AI. The combination of the human and AI is way more powerful than either of them separately. Now, eventually that's actually going to change, and the AI is going to be better than we are. So I personally have embraced AI. If you go to my website, and by the way, my website is just my name with 2 N's, glenngow.com. If you go to my website, on my website, let's say you're an emerging CEO and you can't afford a coach yet. I have the AI CEO coach on my website. It's free. You don't have to fill out a form. It's available 24/7, and it will answer all your questions as much as it can as a CEO. And I built this precisely because I thought every job is going to be impacting, including mine. So I'm leaning in. I'm leaning in as much as I can. And I'm trying to do that to demonstrate to people that everyone needs to lean in. Everyone needs to embrace this massive change, the biggest change in technology we have ever seen and ever will see. And Phil, let me just mention why that is the case. So we've all lived through technology evolutions, but AI is different from every other technology evolution. The reason it's different is that it learns. It gets better every day. And sometimes it gets better all by itself. We have no other technology like that. You could say, well, look, they come out with a new iPhone every year, right? Well, almost all of that is done by humans. With AI, it can do it by itself. And what that creates is this flywheel of learning and improving. That's what we started talking about, Phil, learning and improving and sharing that information. AI is way better than humans, and it will surpass us at some point. We don't know when, but it will surpass us. It has already surpassed us in certain areas, and it will continue to do so. And it's growing so fast, we can barely keep up with it.
It's a child. It's a child. We created, in essence, it's the beginning of life.
Yes. And guess what? Here's the really mind-blowing thing, Phil. It's an immortal child.
They're all childs.
It will live forever, and it will always be growing and becoming smarter and smarter and smarter. And so this is why we want to embrace it, to take advantage of its enormous capability to help us become better at whatever it is that we want to be better at.
I like that. We've had a few AI experts on the podcast, and I always geek out. One of my guests, I remember, is making a virtual twin of himself.
Oh, sure.
So every single podcast, every single writing he does goes into his language model, so it can get better and better, so he can literally replace himself in life, it seems. But I want to know, is that something like you mentioned your CEO coach, which, by the way, full disclosure, I went onto the website, I saw it. I didn't play around with the coach, but I saw that you had a chatbot, and I'm like, oh, that's very interesting. And now that you told me that it's a full AI, because it did say it's full AI, but I thought it was just like, hey, these are frequently asked questions I can answer. No, it's a full, robust chatbot, which I find very interesting. And I love that it's on. And I think more businesses should accept that onto their website, because it can answer quicker questions, and you'll know more answer because you can ask the bot afterwards, hey, tell me what is the most frequently asked question.
That's right.
You have your own Google, in essence, and you can then use to, oh my God, geez, Glenn, this is why I love talking with AI people, because you guys help push the boundaries for things. Let's talk about someone who's just starting in the AI. Let's say they're like, okay, you convinced me, Glenn, I need to dive into AI. I need to accept AI into my life, just like I've accepted religion. What should I, where should I go? What should I study first? What should I do? How do I learn? What advice do you have for me?
So the first thing I want to point out is there are two kinds of AI. There's what I'll call traditional AI, and we have generative AI. Now, we're all super interested in generative AI because we've put a nice user interface on it and we can interact with it. And it's important to understand generative AI. And yet, when you look at the economic value of AI, generative AI is estimated to be about a third, looking forward, about a third of the value. And 2/3 of it is this traditional AI, what we as regular non-technical people don't know a lot about. So I don't want anyone to ignore traditional AI just because generative AI is fun to play with and can do cool things. Right? It's important, but it's not as important as the whole thing. So where do you start? Look, I think it's great, simple, easy place to start is read what the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal are talking about. They speak at a nice high level. It's a business level. They don't get deeply into the technology, and you can begin to understand what companies are doing with AI. My second favorite place, well, there's a tie for second. I have a column in Forbes magazine, and it's all about AI in business. And that's tied with McKinsey, the big consulting firm, writes amazing things about what's happening in the world of AI. So those are two good places to go look and just start to absorb what's happening, because you don't have to go deep, and you don't even want to go deep initially. You don't have to actually understand, Phil, how a large language model works or why it's even called a large language model. We don't have to understand that. We have to understand how people are using AI. That's ultimately the thing that's most important, because that will give you ideas on how to use it. So I want to tell one quick story.
Please. No, you can tell a long story. Go ahead, sir.
Well, someone to follow, he has a Substack. His name is Ethan Mollick. He's a professor at Wharton. He teaches a business class, and he's very on top of what's happening in the world of AI. So Ethan got up in front of his class at Wharton and said, I want all of you business students, you're going to write a paper. And everybody groans. Nobody likes to write a paper. And then Ethan said, and I insist that all of you use ChatGPT to write it. And they're like, yay, because they were going to use it anyway. But then he crushes them because he says, and I want you to be prepared to defend every line in the paper. And they all groaned, because that's even harder, to have to go validate that everything that ChatGPT was telling them is actually true and is accurate and is helpful to the argument that they're putting forth in the paper. But he has created the essence of what I'm suggesting here, Phil, that we wrap our arms around this AI, we bring it into our lives, we begin to understand it and its flaws, because it isn't perfect. It'll never be perfect. But it's like any other tool, Phil. Every tool can be used for good and bad, and a tool can make mistakes. I have a knife. I can use it for cutting butter. I can use it to be evil, or it might cut my finger and have to put a Band-Aid on it as a result, right? So I can do damage. So AI is the same way. We need to understand how to incorporate it into our lives. And if we stay behind, because AI is getting better every day, sometimes all by itself, we are going to fall behind really quickly. So I am actually concerned that unlike other technologies, with other technologies, humans have been able to keep up. Okay, we've invented all these amazing things and humans kept up. AI is different. We even if I study it all the time, I'm not going to be able to keep up with it, Phil, because it's moving faster than humans can move. So, but I don't want to be left behind very much. And I'm in a race with everybody else who's trying to understand the implications of AI for our business. And so as an entrepreneur, I deeply want to understand how to take advantage of its capabilities for my business. And I want everyone to have that mindset.
That's a great mindset. As you were telling the story, I was like, I'm going to go ahead and get Ethan's Substack up here and sign up, because if you're suggesting he's someone to follow, that means he is someone I should be following if I like AI and business.
Good. And good.
Definitely take a look at his stuff afterwards, and of course, show notes, it will be linked. in your journey of being being an entrepreneur twice, and being able to meet with hundreds of thousands of entrepreneurs through your journey, how do you stay positive? Like, I know, I already know there's dark days and hard days as an entrepreneur, because sometimes you just like the sales not going through, or the coaching isn't just coaching. How do you get through those days? Do you have a routine or a habit that you have that pushes you through that kind of that hard time?
Absolutely. So there are two things to keep in mind. One is some days may be a struggle, but we have to think long term. We have to think about what is it that we're here to do? What is our purpose? What is our vision? And we have to take every day as a step in that direction. So if we keep our eye on the prize, if we keep our eye on the future, then that helps us when some of those days are dark, when things aren't moving ahead the way we want them to. But more important than this is to have a daily gratitude practice. So every day we have a choice. We can focus on what went wrong. We can focus on how maybe an employee left, or I didn't close a big customer, or the product didn't get out quickly or on time. Or we can focus on those things that went well today. And I guarantee that things went well. Now, all we have to do is look. And if the mind focuses on the things that went well, that lifts us up, and it helps us focus on doing more the next day to be more powerful, more impactful. And so it's all a matter of where do we focus our energy and our effort.
Jesus mercy, my Lord. You're hitting me with the wisdom here, Glenn. Like, everything you're saying, I'm like, I need to start doing that. I used to have a gratitude journal when I was younger, and I stopped doing it. And now, like you're saying that, I'm like, you know what? That's going to help me out. Like, look, already inspiring, helping someone out.
So I want to tell you a quick story. So in my family, I have two adult children, and one of my adult children shares his gratitude list with my wife every day. I think this is fantastic. Here are the things I'm grateful for. And she writes back, here are the things I'm grateful for. And one day she wrote back and said, I had a really rough day. I'm having trouble coming up with things to be grateful for. And my son, I thought this was just brilliant, wrote back and said, okay, Mom, now you owe me 10 things you were grateful for. Because he knew, and she knew, that there were 10 things she could be grateful for. It was just where she was focusing. And that helped her focus on the things that she's truly grateful for. We can all do this every day.
I like that. And plus, having your son is like, I need to do this, so I'm going to have an accountability partner,
right?
With your mother,
right?
Like that. Your son went 2 levels deeper. He's playing 4D chess while everybody else is doing regular chess or checkers. I'm curious to know, because investing in yourself is crucial for success in entrepreneurship. Could you share a personal habit or routine or practice that you found particularly valuable in nurturing your own growth and development as a leader and an innovator in the tech industry?
Well, Phil, the first one, and I share this with all my CEOs, the first one is put your oxygen mask on first. Now, I always thought that was funny when you're sitting in the airplane and they say, put your oxygen mask on first. When you have your little child next to you, you want to take care of them first, right? But the fact is, CEOs are not all that good at taking care of themselves. CEOs carry a heavy burden, and they often work too hard and too many hours, and they feel a lot of stress. And when that happens, they are not productive. So if they focus first on taking care of themselves, whatever that means, it could be exercise, nutrition, spirituality, relationships, hobbies. If they aren't investing in themselves first, they're not going to perform at their highest level when it matters the most. So it seems counterintuitive to go invest in something, maybe going to a yoga class, as opposed to writing another email to try to close some business. And yet, you will be more productive in those hours that you actually are working only on the job if you take care of yourself first. This is the thing I see as the greatest weakness of CEOs, is not doing that first.
I love Great piece of advice. Now we're going to go into a different type of piece of advice. I have the 10-year-old version of Glenn because I'm writing that book and I need more pieces of advice from amazing entrepreneurs like yourself,
Right.
Glenn. And you're at the forefront of AI as well because you help everyone understand AI. So I have 10-year-old Glenn right beside me. He's ready to learn from older version of Glenn. What's one piece of advice you're giving to the younger version of yourself?
Well, the first piece of advice is read Uncle Phil's book, okay? Because it's a great book. It's been custom designed just for you. Okay. The second piece of advice is, so Socrates said at one point, I am the wisest man in the world. Why? Because only I understand that I know nothing. And what he's saying is you want to be open to continual learning. You want to acknowledge that you always have something to learn, to improve, to become even better. And if you have the mindset that I can learn from Uncle Phil, or I can learn from my teacher, or I can learn from my classmates, or I can learn from my family members, you will learn and you will improve. And it's such an amazing journey to have an opportunity to continually become better as we live here on this earth. And so that is the advice I would give to your 10-year-old nephew and my 10-year-old self.
I love it. Amazing. Glenn, I'm going to jump off stage here. I want you to tell my audience where they can follow you, your newsletter, anything like that. The floor, sir, is yours.
Very simple. The best place to find me is on my website, which is my name, glenngow.com. And there you can find information about me and my practice, and you can find the AI CEO coach, which is free. You don't have to fill out any form and is available 24/7. Thank you, Phil.
Glenn, it was a pleasure having you on. I'm looking forward to re-listening to the episode and hearing everything, getting the transcript from the AI and summarizing it and all that fun stuff as well.
Great.
But yes, thank you again for coming on the show and sharing a bit about your journey.
Phil, it's been a pleasure. Thank you.
To my audience, as you know, the show notes will have all the links to connect with Glenn as well as Ethan Mollick, right? Mollick, Ethan Mollick's Substack, so that you can subscribe to it as well if you're interested in learning more about AI or connecting with Glenn. I thank you so much for listening, and remember to always invest.
Thanks for tuning in. Now it's time to take the next step. When you're ready to dive deeper into how to launch, grow, and monetize your podcast, Phil's got something special for you. Join him for a free webinar where he'll reveal the 3 secrets that have helped countless entrepreneurs succeed in podcasting. Click the link in the show notes to save your spot, and let's turn your podcasting dreams into reality.